So we want to get another equation, and we are saying we're going to use the formula 2gh is equal to v squared minus u squared. Now instead of me using v and u, because I've used v here, you might think it is representing final velocity. Let me say v, or so I'm going to say v final squared minus v initial squared. So in this case, you need to know that velocity in the y is always given by v sine theta. And then velocity in the x is always given by v cos theta, just like on vectors. So this is going to be 2. Now, because we've thrown this projectile up, it is going against gravity, so the g is going to be negative g. And then we have h. And the final velocity in the y, because this thing is no longer going up at that maximum point, so velocity in the y is going to be 0. And then minus this velocity, initial velocity you can see here, is the initial velocity in the what? In the y also. Why? Because we're talking about height. How do you find the initial velocity in the y? Velocity in the y is given by v sine theta. And the whole of this term is going to be squared. And from here we're going to see that we're going to have negative 2gh being equal to negative. If we distribute the square, that will be negative v squared sine squared theta. Please, when you have got sine theta squared, it will never give you sine. It's not the same as sine theta squared. And actually this, if you mention the calculator, that's wrong. It is sine squared and then theta. So you can't write this on the calculator. If you want to find something that is given like this, you need to write it in this form, sine theta, and then the answer that you get, you square it. So I've distributed the what? The square. And then the negatives, both sides are going to cancel out. So for me to find height, the height is given by the negatives are going to be cancelled. That will be v squared sine squared theta divided by, I'm going to divide both sides by 2g because I want to just remain with the height. So when you want to find the height or the maximum height of a projectile, this is the formula that you use for this kind of projectile. And it's not something that you need to master. If you can master, but you can just pick it from here and then you start substituting values. But if there's need for a formula, perhaps they ask you what do you need for you to be able to find the maximum height of a projectile that is given in this form. You need the velocity and the angle. Those are the only things you need. G is a constant. You already know it's 9.8. Do we have questions on that? Alright, so we've gotten that. I'm going to show you also another formula which you already know from high school, and that one is, yes, please go on. Mm, mm. Okay, so the f here is representing final, that's final velocity squared, and then the o is representing initial velocity squared. So o is final velocity squared minus initial velocity squared. All right, so now we can move from here, and the next thing that is, we are going to use another equation that you know, height is equal to ut plus half, pardon, uh, just try to speak that one a bit loud. Can you get, have you gotten what you say? The network, it's like where you are, the network is cutting, something like that. Okay, the only thing that I've gotten is final velocity, so maybe it will restore. If the network restores, let me just explain this one and then I'm going to ask you to ask again. Perhaps I'm going to get, if that's okay. Or maybe you can say it again, maybe I'll get it. Okay, so let's show now on this equation which you have here. We are saying height is given by ut plus half gt squared. This is an equation that you need to know. Okay, now because we are talking about, like, we are talking about height, so for this equation now, forget about the vertical. We are now on the horizontal operation. Well, this is a formula for height. I can express it in terms of distance. I'll say distance is equal to ut. Since height is going up, but when you are moving horizontal, that's distance, ut plus half gt squared. So the distance therefore is given by, this u is the initial velocity. I like using u because I'm used. Otherwise, in this case, we are using v, or that's the same. Whether you see u or v, or that's the same. Now, we are talking about horizontal motion. It's no longer vertical motion. So the u, that is the initial velocity in the x, or horizontally. The formula is here. Where there is u, that is the velocity. Remember, we're talking about what? Horizontally is going to be given by v cos theta. And then I'm going to put time times time. Now, when you talk about g, anything that has been thrown like this is not affected by gravity. Gravity only affects things which are thrown up and down. So g is going to be 0, and 0 multiplied by the whole of this term was going to be 0. And this s is what we are calling as the range. The distance on the horizontal is the range. Therefore, range is given by v cos theta multiplied by t. This, remember, is the total time of flight. The time is going to take for a projectile to move from this point up to this point. And we had given a formula for total time of flight. Who has remembered it? The formula for total time of flight. So we said yes, t is equal to mm, over g. Okay, so this is the formula for total time of flight. So where there is t, we are going to substitute. Therefore, it gives us r being equal to, where there is, that will be v cos theta. Where there is t, we are going to put 2v sine theta and then divided by g. And this gives us r being equal to, I'm going to get these two, I'll write it here, and then I'm going to get the cos theta, and then I'm going to get the sin theta. This v, you can see here, multiplies with this v, that is going to give us v squared. And then down we have got g. Now, you are going to understand this on identities. Whenever you see 2 cos theta sin theta, or dot reg, is part of the it's part of what you're supposed to do. Whenever you see 2 cos theta sin theta, this can be written as a double angle. Therefore, r is going to be given as v squared, and then 2 cos theta sin theta is the same as sin 2 theta, and then divided by g. So this is how you find the horizontal range of a projectile. That's a formula. So basically, this is on formulas for projectile, for the range, for the height, and also for the time of flight. Now, as I said, you don't need to master. All you do is know how you are getting them, know how you are getting these formulas. That is what will be important. All right. we are going to end here, and we are going to do practice questions to see how we apply these formulas.